This is the Krillcast Live. I'm Chris.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Will. How have we been live for a minute already?
It's a lie. The cake is a lie. All right.
Yeah, we're canceled already. That's the case.
No, it's not. It's not true. All right, here. This book is part of our printed and press series. This is kind of a bonus book. We didn't expect you to read it. We're just going to read it for you because of how bad the other two of my hosts claim it is. Even though I think there's some decent elements of this book. It is called Futility, Wreck of the Titan. We're only reading the first short story, which actually is called Wreck of the Titan. It's about a 69-page book. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for the explanation of the page. Stop. I'm not done yet. The book is by a man named Morgan Robertson. Copyright I'm sorry. I take that back. Copyright originally was by M.F. Mansfield, apparently, but it's written by Morgan Robertson, and he apparently didn't copyright it until 1912 for some reason. That sounds like somebody's home. I heard a beep. So this is the autograph edition, which is weird because it's it's a digital version on a website. So
I just copied it, Chris. I copied it and put it in here as a PDF.
So if you didn't know, this book is the center of a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding the Titanic, because this book was released, I think, over a decade before the Titanic sunk. And given that we were planning to cover this book anyways, it seems like the best time to cover it is now, while all eyes are on the Titanic and the unfortunate accident in the bottom of the ocean.
Just real quick, Chris, the irony of the copyright date, if you go up, I'm pretty sure when he copyrighted that, I'm pretty sure that's around the time of the actual Titanic.
It probably is. I mean, he's probably like, I want my copyright
because
back.
One of the conspiracy theories is tied to the Federal Reserve. If I'm not mistaken, the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. So.
Well, yeah, some of the major opponents to the Federal Reserve were on the Titanic.
Supposed.
And they died.
There's also conflicting perspectives on that as well. But yes, some very, very wealthy people were on it, and then the people who went together to make the Federal Reserve happened to not go on the boat despite being
part of the ticket holders.
Yes. J.P. Morgan was one of them.
Oh, wow. Who could have guessed that he'd have any influence on the Federal Reserve? Wow. Never knew that.
Not like his bank that he created to, even to today, is out there being the dominant spokesperson.
Are you serious? No way.
I know, right?
He's such a smart guy. He always jumps in right in time to save people and do cool things.
My timer went off. Shit.
You said a timer. Oh, dear Lord. All right. Well, on that note, this book was on our list just because it's a fascinating story. The book was written. There's like a whole conspiracy theory online that this book was written, and then some of the theories surrounding this book state that the ideas they had for the ship came from the book, like sinking it by using an iceberg, because that's exactly how it sinks in here. Yeah, blueprint, whatever, a scheme, whatever you want to call it. But, I mean, there are a whole bunch of other conspiracy theories surrounding the Titanic, one of which is, and this is the weirdest one in my opinion, that it wasn't the Titanic that sank at all. It was actually a sister ship that they couldn't claim insurance on, so they sank it under the name of the Titanic, supposedly. And it was actually the Britannica.
Yeah, there's people who will tell you through photographs that you can see the hull damage on the Titanic that shouldn't have been there. So I don't know. I haven't reviewed that conspiracy for a long time. I know
it is a bizarre theory.
Hey man, the History Channel, I'm pretty sure actually did a whole thing on it once.
Yeah, it was hit by a rocket. Rockets didn't exist yet, but they were hit by it.
That's not part of the conspiracy, though. No, the conspiracy was just that they were able to reclaim a lot of the money from whatever ship wasn't allowed to sail by sinking the one that was allowed to sail.
So the conspiracy was they couldn't actually fix the Britannia, so they found a way to go sink her and still get the insurance money.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was a different ship.
And then because the overlords knew it was going to sink, they put the right people on it to get the Federal Reserve. It all connects somehow, right? All right.
It's a very intricate.
It's a very weird conspiracy
web. Yeah,
like, imagine spinning that web. Like that would have taken a lot of coordination. But yeah, that's a really bizarre conspiracy theory, and it all stems from this book being the blueprint for how they did it, supposedly. But I find that kind of stuff fascinating, but we're actually just here to talk about the book, and maybe we'll delve back into that later. But
We actually had a naval ship named the Titan, and it did not sink.
okay,
Just so you
that's
know.
good news.
Yep.
But the guy that wrote this book had a wide bevy of knowledge about ships and harbors and various things because he was, I believe, in the military, potentially the Navy.
Well, you can tell when you read this that the person's actually knowledgeable about ships
Yeah.
because
I mean, even if he wasn't in the military, he worked on ships. I know that.
well, you can tell he was knowledgeable because he writes from a perspective of someone who actually knows sailing.
Mhm.
So let's give the the summary of the book. It kind of starts off with
He was a ship
summary's
You
gonna be
haven't
long.
yet.
Great
Yes.
Lakes, just so you know.
Yeah, the Great Lakes, Lake Superior.
Yeah.
No.
No.
The book centers around this character, Roland. I don't remember what his first name is because they always just call him Roland in the entire book. Is it John? Is John Roland? I'm pretty sure it's John Roland. But
I think
anyways,
so.
he has a history of drinking and issues like that. You know, like the normal
Wow.
anti-hero that exists in most stories these days.
More than that, Chris.
He has a problem. And then
He was
also
heartbroken, Chris.
he was heartbroken, which is what caused the drinking problem. And the book opens up just rubbing it in his face by having the woman who broke his heart on the ship, and also
That's why he sunk it.
accusing him of stalking
Well,
her. When in reality
okay.
he just wanted a job.
Let's be honest here. He did say something about typical thing where someone's like, "Oh, what goes around comes around goes around." That the whole saying, right?
He didn't say that.
Karma.
Did he?
Yeah, he had the whole karma thing, and they took it as a damn threat.
Oh yes, yes.
When she broke his heart,
and he was talking about himself.
You don't remember him drilling the hole in the bottom saying karma, bitch?
no, but when
That's why he killed her husband. No, that didn't actually happen.
No, but the whole thing was she broke his heart. He made a whole comment about karma. She's not educated enough to know what karma is.
Right.
And they took it as, him saying you reap what you sow as a threat to bring vengeance on her. And he's just here kind of drunk most of the time. And he interacts with her and the child, and he's not being anything wacky. She just
the only wacky
threat,
part,
man.
the only time that you could take him as a threat was when he was dangling the girl over the
No,
railing.
he was playing a game.
I know he was playing a game, but if you're already on
Was he
edge,
dangling in front of
he dangles the child over
He pulled a
dangles her-
Michael Jackson with the
Yes.
blanket and
with the blanket. Yeah, the kid, right? Yeah. Anyways,
well, and a blanket with the kid. Okay,
anyways, so the consensus of the story is heartbroken,
I'm sure the kid's
and
name
then
was
obviously
Blake.
the ship gets sunk. Gee, I mixed ship and sunk together. That was bizarre.
Well, you're missing the part where they completely
drugged him. Okay,
obliterated.
no.
They obliterated another
SS
ship.
Royal something.
Yeah, they just plowed through
Let
it.
me get through that. So they opens up describing the ship, and it basically says like if any ship gets in the way, it will be destroyed.
Yep.
And I was like,
Oh, I thought that
this
was
ship's
interesting.
definitely destroying.
Also,
a
you have to
ship
test
later
that
on.
now.
Yeah.
And so later on, the kind of the first climax is when it destroys the ship, and
The
then
first of many that night.
there's a lot in this book. It goes up and down a lot.
Yeah.
All right. And don't you dare join in with the Michael Scott line there,
Hey,
because
man.
I know you could easily make that joke.
For
All right.
for
So
69
the captain
pages,
pulls
there's a lot of climaxes.
The captain pulls the guy into his office after he pulls in like everybody, and for some reason the author goes into great detail to describe how every sailor is smiling when they leave the captain's room. I'm just like, okay, but
He's bribing them.
Yeah.
yeah, he's bribing
Here's a different meaning to
them.
seaman.
A lot of climaxes that night. Anyways, so he goes in there and he like basically says he's gonna bribe him to not talk about the ship they destroyed.
Yo.
And he basically says, "You can't bribe me. I'm already a broken man. Like, he's
Well,
like,
he's-
you can't do
he
anything."
basically has newfound meaning, right?
Yeah.
You can't take away his honor. He might have, been down on his luck. He might be a drunkard now because he allowed one woman to completely ruin his life for no reason, right? Like he gave her way too much power over him as an individual. She wasn't worth it.
I mean, he did. Yeah,
She wasn't worth it.
Look, we don't know anything about her other than she's extremely protective of her child and she hates this guy.
No, you know plenty enough about how she treats him like dirt. She wasn't worth it. Roland should do better. He could do better. He just let her ruin his life. I'm just pointing it out, man.
All right. Anyways, long story short now, so the captain realizes he can't bribe him.
He
So
needed to
they're like, we need to
captain,
discredit him.
and that's all he needed.
They decide they need to discredit him. And I'm like, dude, you're on a boat in the Arctic. Push him off. Like, how dumb are you? Anyways, long story short, though. So they decide to drug him to ruin his craft.
I
so they
love...
can throw him in the hull.
No, I love, though, it's not just not push him over. It's like, oh, drug him, get him to be insane, not just
and then they
make him
put
be
him
really
in the
drunk
crow's
and,
nest.
Yeah, and not just make
let's
it where
put the
he's
guy
really...
who can't see straight or think straight in the crow's nest in the middle of an iceberg area. Like, that makes sense.
Chris, it's not even though they already were like, oh, let's get him really drunk, put him up at a really high place, but we just want to overhear him. We don't want him to like fall, slip, or anything. Like,
we got somebody checking in on him.
Yeah, keep him safe.
Make sure he doesn't fall over.
Yeah, we just killed a whole ship.
Okay, that is the biggest plot hole. That is the biggest plot hole. Is like, why don't they just put him overboard?
Like, we just killed an entire ship of people,
right?
Just
stupid.
Yeah, they like for being people on a ship. Like, the guy's basically like mutiny. Like, I'm not going along with your guys' stupid plan. I'm just gonna tell everybody the truth and get you all destroyed. You will never sail again because of me. Okay. Boop.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes a question of when did you get the moral conscience here? You're trying to cover up the murder of how many people on the other ship?
I know.
Just add one more.
Yeah, exactly. You already killed the whole
You're already going to hell. Like, let's be honest.
I mean, at least they had I guess the only difference being is they were careless when they accidentally destroyed the ship and killed countless souls. In the case of the character Roland, well, that would be on purpose, and that would be murder. There's a slight difference, not much.
Yeah, but they're covering up the killing.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that they don't bring up how fast they were going until after the fact. I'm like, dude, you should have definitely led with that so we could kind of figure out where they were going with that logic. Like,
I don't know.
Should have talked about it.
They talk about going ridiculously fast in the beginning. They're trying to.
And then I like how as soon as the fog clears, that's when they see the other ship. And then as soon as the fog clears, that's when they see the iceberg. Now that is another characteristic that is different from the Titanic is how the iceberg destroys the ship and the fact that you could get on the iceberg somehow.
Well, he got knocked onto the iceberg.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he got knocked onto the iceberg.
He got knocked overboard because the entire ship went like on it.
Yeah, so there's like three. I would say there's like three main parts to this story. One, he saves the child. Two, he like finds God, I think, because he prays, and then all of a sudden he gets saved. And they make a big point about how he's an atheist beforehand, and they never really talk about it after he gets saved after he prays.
Well, he turns his entire life around.
Yeah, and then the third part is like him totally decimating both the owner of the ship and the insurance agency who doesn't want to cover it.
Well, he doesn't decimate the owners.
He does because the owner dies from the heart attack of thinking he's ruined.
Yeah, he causes the one to die, but there's plenty of other owners.
If you want to think about it that way, like he accidentally kills.
Well, he's not the only owner, Chris. He's just the biggest
he's the
owner.
major owner. So he's basically. But the best part is, like, he saves the girl, but he kills the husband and the father-in-law of his ex-girlfriend. So, like,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, man, karma. All right, let's discuss.
I don't know if she deserved that much karma.
Let's discuss this iceberg because I still don't think it's really clear where exactly they're sailing and why the hell there's a polar bear on this iceberg. In the middle of the Atlantic, okay? Please.
Maybe he was just hanging out one day and drinking his Coke bottle, and all of a sudden a penguin decided to ram a spike in the ice.
That Coke bottle would have had real cocaine in it. I just want to point that out.
That's one. Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it would have.
The polar bears were on cocaine back then.
Yeah, and what's another name for cocaine? Snow. What's on an iceberg? Snow.
Lots and lots of snow. So yeah, when he fights the polar bear after. So let's get to the ship sinking. Anyways, so obviously we got to the point where he gets drugged. He's in the crow's nest. They've already taken out that first boat. He already got his moral compass, and then an iceberg shows up while he's high out of his mind from hashish or whatever they call it in there, and. Apparently nobody else they put up in the crow's nest while he's drugged out. Like that makes sense.
He wasn't.
Like, does he even know somebody else is there?
I don't think he was. He wasn't actually in the crow's nest. He was on starboard.
I thought he was.
No, he was
maybe he was starboard. Anyways, I thought they said he was in the crow's nest, but maybe he's starboard.
No, he started off.
No, you're right. He had to be starboard because otherwise the girl couldn't have got to him.
Yeah, no, he started off in the crow's nest when he was in his first round. So they moved him to a different post later because they wanted to be like, oh, you're drugged and hallucinating. Well, not you're drugged, you're hallucinating.
Well, I love how the guy's like, he must have a stomach of steel because he's still coherent.
Yeah.
But apparently he only drank half the dose.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Because midway through, somebody spilled the tea, so he only got half the hashish, or whatever they called that. So anyways, in the middle of this drugged up vision, they hit the iceberg, but also the little girl of the ex-girlfriend of his that broke his heart had wandered while sleepwalking to him, which is even... because it's very unclear until he actually says, oh, she's here. And I'm like, okay, so you've already had like 2 bad run-ins with this girl, and now she's here again. Like, you are just an unfortunate soul.
He is very unfortunate because remember, there's the other interaction where she like goes to hide from her mom.
She accuses him.
No, the mom accuses him.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The girl just goes running and finds him like randomly.
I know. She just can't get away from him.
I have to say though. That I
kid.
really, really hated the writing during the collision with the iceberg because it was not very clear, to me at least, what the heck was actually happening in that sequence.
I am curious
very
now.
jumbled.
Maybe we'll see if they have a...
It took me the longest time, and I'm ashamed of it, to admit that it took me the longest time to realize that they were stranded on the damn iceberg. It didn't make sense. Like, it was just like things are colliding. It's like, okay.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what the... Okay, so the Titan would have survived a head-on collision with the iceberg, but a glancing encounter did more extensive damage. Because didn't it... Because what happened was it hits head-on, but because there was, like, the beneath of the iceberg that it hit, it, like, pushed it up.
It literally flipped it. It was like they tried to hit a ramp with their boat.
Right.
We're going to take a jump, ladies and gentlemen.
Imagine trying to escape.
Full speed ahead.
Imagine trying to escape that.
I mean,
but supposedly, once it flipped, it actually kind of fixed itself and went up and then down, just like the Titanic.
You know, I saw this movie. It splits in half. There's 2 whirlpools, and then goes down, straight down like this.
Is that really how it goes? There's a movie for this?
The Titanic.
Oh, okay. It's like, what?
Okay, I just want to point out that aspects of this story would have made a better storyline than the Titanic itself.
Oh, I agree. The actual Titanic is not nearly as exciting as this one.
I was disappointed with the lack of door floating, though.
Yeah. I mean, the iceberg was much better to go grab onto that than a door, though. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So, I was confused that Chris sent me more than one story.
It was
Is
an
there
accident.
an octopus monster in this?
No. Did you read the other parts?
There is definitely an octopus in one of the other ones that's eating people.
That's why I was trying to tell you that it's only the first out of 4.
I was just like, what the fuck?
That must be in the pilot one.
I think it is. Futility, if you guys didn't know, this is actually like 4 short stories, but I only wanted to read The Wreck of the Titan. That's the only one I was trying to read. And apparently Will, in the audiobook version, allowed it to go
There's no
past.
discrepancy. It just goes. And I was just
Yeah,
like,
it's the same in the
You're like, hold
PDF.
on, I thought he just went and saw the daughter, and now there's an octopus monster?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
He's like watching a B-rated sci-fi movie, Sharktopus.
On the iceberg, though, this freaking polar bear attacks him and the child.
I guess if the polar bear was stranded on an iceberg and it saw 2 people and that was it.
No,
yeah,
I mean, polar bears are always hungry for people. If you see a polar bear, you're probably going to die.
Unless you got a way to defend yourself.
Well, unless you have a way to kill it. But can we just point out that he kills it using a knife?
That's pretty hard to do. Yeah, he lets the bear bite his
after
arm.
After it does enough damage to his arm that he would have passed out. I am like 90% certain he would pass out from that.
I don't know. Maybe he was cold enough. He was cold enough. He was drugged up, dude. That's why.
Maybe, but
so you probably didn't feel it yet.
It crushed the bones in his arm.
Yeah.
It literally crushed them.
Well, you know, he was drugged, and then he used whiskey, and that's the only reason he survived.
By Jesus.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
And then the girl gets
Jesus
one
was
punched.
the polar bear.
Yeah, no, it's Aslan again.
The girl gets one punched by the polar bear.
I know. She's lucky she's alive.
I don't understand that. Bears will rip your face off with one swipe. Like,
I know. I don't understand how she lives.
Well, she must have moved as it was swinging, and it got her in the back.
You're giving her too much credit.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't write the book. I'm just
I know.
reading it.
I'm just saying that's too much credit.
Okay, let's keep going through the storyline. Okay, so after the polar bear is dead, he uses polar bear meat and spare pieces from the wreck that were floating to
Gets
create
a
a fire. And he's basically praying to God because he's running out of firewood and polar bear meat to eat.
Polar
Polar bear meat to eat. And so he's like praying to the God he doesn't believe in that a ship will come and save
Hopefully
him.
he doesn't
So
eat the liver.
But he doesn't pray for himself. He only prays for the safety of the girl and that she be returned to her mother. That's it. It's like wow, good for you, dude.
And then he gets rescued.
Yep.
Becomes besties with the captain.
And for a brief minute becomes friends with his wouldn't have been his father-in-law, the father-in-law of his ex-girlfriend.
Well,
then as soon as he realized that he's ruining him, he dies from a heart attack.
He became friends with the little girl too. She likes him by the end of this.
His name is Dammy, apparently.
Yeah, I think it's just because he keeps yelling the words "damn." But
probably.
He's then brought. Let's go to the next phase.
To the insurance meeting.
To the insurance meeting because the insurance
He's
guy
the only witness, really, that said anything different
book's
from everybody else.
You could maybe make a claim that this book's maybe a bit anti-Semitic in the portrayal.
I didn't get that guy. He was. Well, I
they
didn't
constantly ask him what tribe he's from.
Yeah, but I don't know if that means like.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Probably.
It does.
That's the only meaning of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the book was written in 1898. It was different time. It was different times. So I don't know.
But okay, this guy is.
That's kind of like trying to say that Huckleberry Finn's racist. It definitely has some hints of racism in it, but that's the time period, right?
Right. He's trying to find any loophole, right? Not to pay out the insurance money.
And then the guy gives it to him, and the underwriter's like, "Oh yeah, you won't have to pay anymore because they proved that there was negligence on the point of two owners who are only like 2% owners, but owners nonetheless, in putting a dude in the crow's nest or the starboard
on watch
while they were going at a negligent speed of 50 knots.
Well,
or something
that
ridiculous.
doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, the speed didn't matter.
The speed didn't matter because the insurance company knew full well what the speed was. They insured it with that policy of going as fast as possible.
But since two owners who could benefit from the insurance payout happened to put somebody who was high in a position of steering / visibility, whatever you want to call it, that they put the ship in danger and could be convicted of insurance fraud. I believe that's what it was.
It also didn't matter. I think that was the key. But
at the end of the story, the insurance company knew they were going to go that fast in a dangerous area.
Well, no, but you're
Am I missing a specific point?
You're missing a very specific point, Chris. It's that it didn't matter that he was drugged and put on watch. There was no stopping, even if you had seen the iceberg. The speed was so fast that there was nothing you could do. Right?
Right.
So the fact that the insurance company insured them at a speed that was impossible for a watch or warning or anything, like they knew you were going to hit an iceberg no matter what. Just like they knew you would.
Well, they didn't know. There's no guarantee, but you're like going full speed through an asteroid field.
It's literally that if you were going to hit an iceberg, there's no maneuvering out of the way.
Yes,
you can't
but is that definite that you'll hit an iceberg? But it's definite you'll sink if you hit one.
No, it's not. No, because it's not even. The thought process was that it was unsinkable.
Oh, that's true.
If you hit the iceberg, you would have the water sealing compartments. The only reason it sunk was because of the ramp aspect of how far under it went to lift the boat out when it hit the iceberg. Yeah. Because you gotta remember, it caused all of the furnaces, the boilers, to go at an angle that they were not secured for, and then they also all broke loose from their bolting and added extra leverage to the boat to like make it lopsided. That's all part of the accident, right? So, and then they punched holes in the side of the boat because they weren't secured properly.
Yeah, I'm never riding on a big boat.
That's really what the issue was. Is Roland realizes that he's going to ruin the little girl. And because the insurance company was fully aware of all the risks,
he refused to testify. And then they sent him to New York
to make them pay out because they're the reason. They're really fundamentally the reason. The shipping company never would have operated that way if they weren't insured.
Right.
So it's one of those things where the insurance company got what was coming to them for being negligent in their own right and being dumb. Yeah. And I think that's the feel good portion of this, because in our current age, insurance companies never get held accountable.
Nope.
Ever. They make dumb insurance policies all the time, and they're never forced to pay out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, my favorite, other than that moment, my other favorite part in this was when the judge is like, "Are you the guy from the story?"
Okay, let's get to the next phase then of it, because
God, that was so.
Roland has to flee from England,
because otherwise the insurance company is going to get him murdered.
Well, basically, he has to flee, and
so his buddy, the new ship captain, who is super nice to him, lets him hitch a ride to New York with him.
Well, he gets him.
Captain Barry.
He doesn't give him a ride, Chris. He gets him a ride. He gets him a ride because he still has to stay in England for repairs and stuff on his own. But he gets him over to the U.S. He beats most of the stories about him, and he wants to get the little girl new clothes so she'll be presentable for her when he brings her to her mother.
And she had like $17 or something.
He had $17 from his injuries being paid out, his disability payment, and
which $16 in 1898 is worth a lot more than it is now.
It was a lot of money back then. Though he that
was your non-fiat gold-backed currency.
One more year and it's not gold-backed anymore. From the Titanic, I guess. There's still a little while, but when the story was actually written. Though, all right, so he's coming out of the store with the girl dressed more nicely now, and he looks still scruffy and everything. And a police officer is inquiring about
wants to arrest him, doesn't arrest him yet.
And then the mother and her family comes out of the same store and accuses him of stealing the child.
Right. What are the chances?
I love the fact it's like, hey, I'm going to steal the child. I'm going to have a busted arm that's clearly visible as busted.
Right.
Your daughter was thought lost at sea, right? And you're going to be here yelling at me for stealing your child instead of saving her?
I know. I just can't believe that she wouldn't have heard news of what had happened.
The only reason you're upset, you're not like excited that she's alive because of me.
I know. So her first thought is, I think it was more that they were worried he was gonna, because if you look, it wasn't her that specifically said arrest him, although she did seem dismayed. It was somebody else coaching her to do all that. So somebody else was looking for a payout.
Was there based off of her father said it based on all accounts of what the first mate and everybody was saying when they survived the boat to begin with.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
So her father was the douchebag trying to get him arrested.
Well,
because she followed along.
Well, she went along with trying to say that he followed her onto the boat too. Like, there's a lot where they're trying to. She's being easily coached into having
should have drowned this person.
Story. They should have drowned her. Honestly, she sucks. She's terrible. I really, really hate her character.
Because meanwhile, this guy got her
someone he knew. I want to look this up.
This guy got her the insurance money. He got her daughter back. And he even bought her daughter a nice little dress to go meet her.
Right, and she wants him thrown in jail. And
then she tries to blame him for the polar bear scratches. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, like, clearly
you can't do
that's the thing at the trial everyone needs to realize is she is claiming that a doctor said he was cutting her to cause trauma and everything. It's like, it's bear claw scratches. Like, what you're claiming he used a knife and cut her back and caused her trauma. Yet she's calling for him and it seems to like him. Okay.
Like, she's on the witness stand. She's like, dammy.
Yeah. And she's clearly likes the guy. It's just
they're claiming a Stockholm syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Right. Her character's just so crazy. And then after this, they bring the reporters bring the story to the judge, and he's just like, what the hell is this?
He's like, wait a second, is this you? And he just kind of nods. Yeah. He's like, case dismissed. This
Yeah.
is over. This is BS.
And then he, like,
and then he
tells-
scolds her. He's like,
Yeah.
this man saved your daughter from a polar bear, and this is what you're doing to him?
Right. And then he goes and turns his life around completely and utterly. Works.
Yeah, he
his
becomes
way
like
up.
a government. I don't remember.
Something.
Yeah, something with the government.
And so he.
And this
goes,
woman waits 6 months. Or
was that
was
only
it,
6 months? No,
It was a long
Yeah,
time.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months after he had gotten the government position. That's right. He
Oh,
was around for the 6
after
months-
he got
yeah.
his government position, so it
Yes.
was longer than that.
Let me see. Let me see what it says. One day, da-da. He then rented a room, found employment. Maybe 2 years from the time of his examination, he was appointed. Okay, so this is like almost two
So
and
it
a half
was
years
almost
later.
basically 3 years have passed.
3 years from after
And-
yeah.
She reaches out to him, but it's just like, okay, one, she's the reason he became a drunkard
Yeah.
on a
Right.
certain level. I mean, okay, in fairness, how he responded to her breakup, we don't.
That's
get
on
the
him.
full- It's
That's
on
on
him. That's on him. But we don't get the full context of what she said to him or how she treated him. But he really should not. Okay, no woman is worth that. I'm sorry. Like, no woman is worth drinking yourself to be a drunkard and throwing away whatever career you have.
Mhm.
There's someone else.
So
100%.
just so you know, this little letter was not part of the original edition, so he added that later. I wonder why.
Probably.
The letter
because-
wasn't part of it?
Yeah.
Oh, so it just ends with now, John Rowland, your future is your own. You've merely suffered in the past from mistake. So that's where it ends originally, and then he changed it to add the other part?
Probably because he wanted a feel good aspect.
I wonder if there was
Yeah.
anything else he added to it.
Not for my quick search on that, no.
Oh, okay. Interesting. What does he see Myra then, or no?
I don't know.
He said, and the man went to see my.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah. I guess it is in there. I don't think that's in the original.
Okay.
The thing is,
Maybe he
though-
thought it was too abrupt and wanted to add that there was a nice little silver lining to his friendship with the daughter. I don't know.
right.
And then when she turned 18, he married her. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn.
That would be a
Chris.
really terrible story if that was the
That would
case.
be pretty bad.
He's like, can't have you. I'll take your daughter. When she's God, that's terrible. Never
the
mind.
fact
I can't even
that-
finish that sentence.
I just
can't even
can't-
finish that sentence.
I hope he didn't get back with her.
He
That's-
probably did. He probably
I
did.
hope not, because she's
No, he probably did.
terrible, terrible, terrible. She didn't help him once.
Mhm.
And then the second he turns his life around, and because she's a widow with a child who likes him, now she's coming back to him. Second choice. All of every complaint
Should
you
have
could
been
have with
revealed
that.
that Mira is his kid.
Yeah, I would have liked that better if they would have done that, but
And that's why she's so drawn to him.
maybe, possibly. That actually would have made a lot of sense based on the way he wrote. Maybe that was intentionally meant to kind of lead you that way, and that's why he added that letter when he republished it. I mean, I think he republished it because the Titanic existed, but I could be wrong.
I'm 90% sure that he probably did it in response to the Titanic. It created way too much more popularity for his book not to do that.
Yeah, nobody would have read this book otherwise. Well, they might have, but
He actually
Very-
is the one who sunk the Titanic.
yeah, he was on the ship.
He's like, oh, there's not enough popularity and buzz around my book. Let's go create a real accident.
Yep.
Let me kill 3,000 people to sell 3,000 more
Okay,
copies.
Yeah.
when you read her letter, though, she's still terrible.
Yes.
She's still terrible to him in that letter. She's like, hey, yeah, my daughter is the only reason I'm reaching out to you. Like, she's terrible.
But the best thing is, she still won out. She got all the insurance payout because this dude wouldn't fight him.
There's no gratitude from this bitch.
My goodness.
I'm sorry. Like, she is the terrible.
I mean, she lost her husband and her father-in-law, but like
still no
he
gratitude.
he lost an arm, man.
Hey, she got her daughter saved because of him.
Yeah, he saved her daughter.
Okay, like, let's be honest. The future.
He
is
killed a
more
polar
important.
bear for her.
Right. And there's not an ounce of gratitude
Oh my goodness.
once from her.
So all right. So that's
I
the
just
whole
hope
book.
he
That's
doesn't
that's
stick
the
for
really
later.
long summary of the book, in which you probably could have listened to most of the audiobook on 2 times speed. By the time we got through
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So let's get to the
Lessons learned.
morals, etc. And I'll let Andrew start it off if he wants. No. We talked enough. Will you start this off?
Don't get on a boat heading for the North Atlantic in April.
Definitely don't do that. Don't get on
Don't
anything
get on a boat that
aquatic.
says it's unsinkable.
Don't
Yeah.
get on anything aquatic.
Avoid
in the Arctic.
hubris.
Avoid the Arctic.
Hubris when
Yes.
you're in the ocean. I think that is the moral of all stories with the ocean, right? Avoid
Nothing is
hubris.
unsinkable.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same thing as the Tower of Babel, where man's hubris thinking they can reach the level of a god is, they get struck down. Exactly what happens with the Titanic. Exactly what happens with the Titan.
Well, also, just I think people forget that the ocean is like the first thing that quickly can show you how small you are as a human.
Yes.
Still, it's like no tornado or earthquake compares to what the ocean does on a regular basis to just show you that you're small.
My biggest fear of death is open ocean. So, like, for me, getting on a big boat, reading these stories, it's like, nope, ain't gonna do that. You couldn't pay
on
me.
a cruise ship, Chris.
There is no amount of money you could pay me to get on a submarine or a boat in any big ocean.
Yeah, I definitely have my price, and it's not very high.
You could not pay me enough to get on a boat in the ocean.
I mean, there's differences, right? Are you talking about open Atlantic or
Any
are you also
boat
against?
on any ocean.
So you're against the Mediterranean Sea and the Caribbean?
I mean, I'd go see them, but I'm not sailing on them.
Really? Okay.
Interesting.
And that's a very interesting take because the Mediterranean is pretty safe. I wouldn't necessarily feel safe in
the closest
Caribbean,
I've
but-
gotten. I mean, I did go out in the ocean in Jamaica, but that
Chris,
was.
are you
scuba
sure
diving.
you're actually American? Do you know how we got here?
I am part Native American. I tell you, that is true. But anyways, we got to we're on the land bridge. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Hey, that's disputed now. There's actually a lot of.
I know.
There
It's
is a lot of
disputed. I know it's
dispute, yeah.
disputed.
Yeah.
That's why I said I'm just kidding. But all right. But no, the only time I've been in the open ocean, and I was pretty not okay with it. I did snorkeling, and I didn't have my glasses, so I couldn't even see the bottom, anyways. But man, I was like not doing well. You have to ask my wife about it sometime. Her
Chris was sending
experience
out
was
those panic electrical signals, and all the sharks were coming for him.
No, luckily, there's only been in the entire time that people have written history on Jamaica, there's been like less than 20 shark attacks in total.
Really?
Yeah, it's a very low number.
Well,
and you have to be like way out of the Bay Area.
Isn't it because like isn't the water kind of warm for
The
the
water
ones
temperature
that actually
is
attack
not
people?
the water temperature is not at a level that is ideal for sharks to be in it.
Well, specifically great whites and
Sharks that would
sharks
kill you.
like specific
Sharks
temperatures.
that would kill you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I cannot handle ocean. So like reading these stories, for example, I've read a few stories like this, and I can't do them very well. But this one was fine. Whatever.
Don't read the next one with the
Anytime I
octopus.
picture myself on a boat that's sinking, I get like this sinking feeling in my body.
Oh yeah, because
Because it's actually
I don't think
sinking.
it's that scary. Because I mean, if you think about it, you could end it really quickly by just inhaling. So it's not as bad as like being pinned down and being eaten alive. By, like,
Will
I mean, you
thinks
could
about
just-
this.
You could also
Will
just
thinks about
cut
this a
yourself
lot.
and let the sharks take you.
yeah, just like take me.
They won't take you to their leader. You'll go to their
Now,
stomachs.
something that is scary. Now I'm coming alive. Is that I forget what ship it is that sunk in the Pacific, and like one by one, all the sailors. Were eaten
Oh
by
yes, yes.
God, yes.
That one
is
was
so
terrifying.
creepy.
sharks.
That
That would
one,
be awful.
that was on the History Channel where they had a whole
Wasn't that World War
documentary
II?
about
It was
it.
World War
Yeah,
Oh my
and
goodness.
the sharks would come and take one guy at a time if you reacted at all to the body bumps.
Gosh, that is awful. That is the
And
worst way to go because you don't know if you're gonna get eaten or you're gonna die from
Yep.
just not being able to do it anymore. Or
Hey, maybe the sharks don't follow boats as much anymore, but at one point, yeah, remember sharks would follow boats because they would put dead people overboard quite
oh,
regularly. So if you were in a sinking ship, there were sharks around. That's
jeez.
Yeah, probably
That's
the
a thing.
mako or the bluefin. They're really smart.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, because they say that the megalodons lasted all the way out to within 10,000 to 20,000 years ago, right? Isn't that accurate?
No, millions of years ago, Chris. Stop trying to say the megalodons are around.
It's not that long ago.
Yes, millions of years, man. That is shit.
Dude, they weren't around with us.
All right, now I'm looking this up. When did the megalodon?
There's plenty of whales that were vicious
2.6 million years ago.
Okay, but people have been on this planet a long time. I'm sure a megalodon ate a person.
Years, man. Not a single scientific study supports that assertion.
Chris, there's plenty of whales that were terrifying enough to ancient sailors.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Like, they actually attack boats.
Yeah, they're the orcas now.
Yeah, could you imagine the orcas with those more flimsy boats?
Yeah, but also think about it. We probably trained them over generations to stop attacking because we were eating them. So, but now that we're not doing that, they're attacking us again.
Yeah.
Because they're predators.
I mean, they're sea wolves.
Okay, no, I take it back. Apparently, let me make sure this is correct. Hold on. Let me find this information.
I think Chris has looked up the earliest human. He's going to try to argue.
No.
I know the dates, Chris.
No. Here's what confused me. Apparently, they've done carbon dating on some of the teeth they found from megalodons, and some dates fall in the 10 to 15,000 year old range. So that's why some people debate whether megalodons.
Carbon dating has also been found to be real shoddy.
It's really inaccurate. You can't do it past you can't even do it that far back. It has to be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's what I remember reading, that potentially some of the dates fell in the 10 to 15,000 years ago range. So they don't know.
Okay. Well, that's definitely an evidence of the inaccuracy of carbon dating. That's all I can say.
Look, man, I watched the Meg movie. All right,
I saw it on TV.
What do you mean the movie? You mean the documentary?
Here's okay. So let's get back to the morals of the story. Okay. Right, one, you can't wallow in sorrow over everything in your life, or even one specific thing in your life.
Well, okay, no woman is worth throwing everything away. Let's just put it that way. If she's rejecting you,
no, you need to stop right there. One woman who's not your wife is not worth throwing your whole life.
Oh my gosh, Chris!
I'm just saying,
no breakup is worth throwing your life away. Yeah. If your wife was to leave you and treat you super shitty during the divorce, she's not worth becoming a drunkard over.
Okay, either. You shouldn't ruin your life over it. I'm just saying some relationships are worth fighting for. That's all.
Well, okay, fighting for is different
than throwing your life away.
Yes,
right.
And this man.
I haven't found one yet, but I've heard they exist.
Jeez, well, he found a polar bear. I mean, come on, no, I'm just kidding.
This guy here, though, is rejected, and he's a promising person in the Navy, right? He clearly knows the stuff about sailing, and it can't possibly be that he has a lack of other eligible women to pursue. All right.
So I think one of the main points of this is that at any point in your life you can turn it around.
Yeah.
And if you keep making the right choice consistently, well, eventually something's going to work out for you. Even if it means you get your arm torn off and you have to fight a polar bear. And you have to go to court to prove you're not an idiot.
You have to persevere, Chris.
Yeah,
you have to persevere.
Yeah. Keep making the right choices.
Keep fighting in general. Maybe not in the same context that Chris was saying about the one woman worth fighting for. You can move on.
It's like that song in Mulan. A girl worth fighting for.
Exactly. It was going into my head too.
The only feel good moment in this story to me though. Like
when he wrecked the insurance and
when
the
he
other guy in the same
company.
Paragraph.
Yes. No, okay. Look at the world we live in right now. When's the last time an insurance company actually got called out for and held accountable for their bad policy?
Yeah, without being
bailed out. Yeah. Without being bailed out by the government. Okay, you have flood insurance where hurricanes are because no one would insure those places without government backing. That's the thing. You get bailed out. Look at, was it AIG or whatever, the financial insurer for the mortgages that all went under in 2008? They got bailed out.
Too big to fail, baby.
They made claims too big to fail. They made how many terrible insurance policies on those mortgages? Like, come on. Look at, okay, bring it into context now, even for the Titan submarine. Look at how many resources were spent on a rescue mission. Like, that person basically had rescue insurance funded by governments all over. Well, why are we wasting money? They should have had to have paid for an insurance and some private company ready to rescue them in some instance. Just like, okay, this is going to be harsh. I think the same thing for avalanches at ski resorts. Price the tickets to have your own private rescue, search and rescue squad, because it's going to be more efficient than what the government does.
Yeah, I think a government response to anything is always less efficient than what you can do privately.
I mean, I guarantee you could get better expertise to actually work in a professional search and rescue unit than what the government does with their first responder.
You'd have to mandate that they have to have that search and rescue team on premises, but yeah, I can see that working.
Well, a lot of things would run differently if insurance didn't exist.
Well, okay, if people were told that they're not going to get rescued by the local first responders if an avalanche happens, people are going to reevaluate their choices of even going.
What year do you think we live in, man?
No. Will, you're operating. No, you guys are operating under two different presumptions. Let me help you, Andrew. Your presumption is that this is a culture which has never lived with the insurance and the rescue teams that we have right now. Will, you're operating on the presumption that starting tomorrow, all of the things go under Andrew's plan, where they have to start covering things. You guys are arguing in two different premises, and it doesn't.
Okay. All right. Let me.
Andrew, your version would work if the culture had not been already adapted
to
believe that insurance and rescue teams existed.
Wait, though. Look at how many people get into problems at national parks and stuff because they disregard everything, including the fence. Like, people get a false sense of security because there's a damn fence or boundary up. Think of how many people still end up just doing something totally reckless and retarded.
Harambe.
I'm just saying.
How did the kid get in the cage? I still don't understand that.
Look at all the people trying to take stupid selfies these days.
Yeah, new policy. How about we just take away everyone's social media?
Hey,
Darwinism.
If people are taking dumb selfies, I think that voids all rescue policies.
Well, you literally did put, like, if you take a selfie next to the fence of a lion and the lion mauls you, that's evidence of your own negligence.
Yeah, and the
you
lion
should
should not be shot for that because he's just out now.
Yeah.
He's just hanging out.
He's giving you a lesson.
Well, no, the reason why they shoot the animals isn't because they did anything wrong necessarily. The reason they shoot the animals is because they've gotten a taste for human meat and they're worried they'll go for it
because they hurt a person. I mean, they kill bisons and shit all the time.
Okay, it's primarily because they hurt somebody and there has to be the semblance of action and consequence. Yeah. That's the main reason. There needs to be the semblance of justice, what Will just said. It's like it's more to pacify the angry person who is already problematic because they're just careless.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, if someone goes to try to pet a bison at Yellowstone and they get just hammer timed by it, right?
Yeah.
Why are we wasting money with an ambulance? I'm sorry. This might sound mean, but drive yourself back.
I mean, I don't know. I agree on some levels for sure with that, but the idea they shoot the bison after that is ridiculous. I mean, it's different than if there's a cougar like hunting people in a park versus you walked the hundreds of yards to get up to this freaking bison. It was totally calm until you start touching it. Okay.
Well, okay. If there's a cougar, because this is a thing, right? Where they go after anyone who's running on the trails because they see the socks and they've developed this instinct to attack joggers. That makes sense. I'm okay with killing that mountain lion specifically because it's developed a hunting technique that's going after people specifically. Yeah. It's also just developed a territory that is like, I can hunt this jogging trail.
Yep. Yeah, that's a problem.
That's problematic.
A huge problem.
I think this story though would have been a better storyline for the Titanic movie slightly.
Even though it's not based on what really happened.
Yeah,
Actually, you know what would be even better is if they went and did like one of those 2025 remakes, of the Titanic, and they added in the conspiracy elements to the movie.
Chris, I just want to point out though that Rose is just as bad as this woman in here.
Rose.
Isn't that?
Oh, in the movie, I've never seen the Titanic. By the way.
Well, the main character in the Titanic is just as terrible as this chick.
She's fine until the door scene, man.
I don't care.
No, she's still terrible. She's still terrible.
No, she's still terrible because I'm gonna drop this diamond necklace in the ocean at the end. Not give it to anybody. Not put it in a museum.
Yeah, but again,
good.
The door.
What did they steal it or something?
She kind of stole the necklace. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but again, the door scene has already happened before she drops the necklace in.
Yeah.
So her character was ruined, and everything past that is someone else.
I want a new Titanic movie where they literally put in the conspiracy theory. Like, make that the premise of the movie.
The whole thing is a plot about the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
No.
That would be
about them trying to sink it because they want to kill the people.
I would want it to be. Have you guys ever seen Iron Sky?
No.
It's basically the Nazis are on the dark side of the moon.
Oh.
That's where they fled to. But if they made it in the same, if they made it in the same style as Iron Sky, it would be hilarious. It's a comedy. It's just stupid. It's not.
You know what doesn't exist that should
super seriously?
What?
A Titanic zombie movie.
That's not needed. There's enough dead people.
Well, let me ask you this question. All right.
Maybe they'll make one now where the sub goes down and there's.
The question that I have is, so the Titanic sank really deep, correct?
Yes. There's also There was also a nuclear submarine that crashed around there.
Did it really?
Yes.
Oh, geez. No, I was gonna say. Is that the reason why a lot of recovery missions have not happened with like recovering objects?
Well, they almost got it out of the water, didn't they? But then it collapsed like at the last second.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. They tried to float it up.
Yeah, I don't remember how they were doing it, but they almost had it.
Now I'm curious.
I don't see much value in taking the wreckage up.
It's the historical value and the nostalgia people have for the movie.
It's because people like us keep talking about it. They're like, oh, there's money to be had here. Because people.
I guess.
Imagine if you got the actual Titanic out of there, and they could actually go physically touch it. Like people would flock to that like crazy.
That would be a pretty good museum. I'll accept that.
Okay,
as long as
I'm just looking up.
I mean, they have an Ark museum that doesn't even have the Ark in it. So I mean, imagine a real.
The second most. If you get the second most famous boat out there.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a lot of money, I'll admit.
Wait a second. It took them 73 years after it sank to find it?
Dude, yes.
Holy cow.
It's very large ocean, Chris.
Chris is like, but you can just look over the side of the boat with a flashlight. What the hell?
That's not what I was thinking.
You know how many...
I can't believe it took them that long.
Technology. They need the technology to get down there.
I mean, they had no submersibles. How would they have found it?
It's not like the U.S. Navy was searching for it with submarines either.
I did not know it took them that long.
What year was it discovered?
1985.
Dude,
It sank in 1912.
I gotta say I think that was a very, very massive news discovery.
That's crazy.
I'm pretty sure the History Channel has talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm over here just referencing the History Channel for all of these different things. But,
my goodness.
But it's like, I watched the crap out of that as a kid. That was a huge discovery at the time, and there's plenty of documentaries.
That's crazy. I can't believe that it took that long to find it. So following its discovery, they returned to the Titanic aboard the research. Yeah, so they basically had to take research vessels down there.
Yeah.
Deep diving submersible.
Well, they had to invent them and then take them down there.
Yeah, it's not like it was easy technology, Chris.
No, I understand.
It's really deep there.
Yeah, hence why we just had one blow up. Or implode, rather.
Implode. It's the same thing, basically.
Yeah. So they got 800 artifacts out of there. But yeah, it does not look like they ever tried to raise it. It does not look like they actually tried to raise it.
They were trying to raise some ship. recently.
It wasn't that one, apparently. Yeah. Anyways,
I don't know.
so
I think
let's
it's
get on to
cooler
the next.
if you could get an affordable submersible for people, because
Yeah.
I think I'm just saying that would be cooler. That would be a moneymaker. I can understand why Titan as a submersible was an attempt to be made. I bet a lot.
Hey, they
of
did
people-
update the Wikipedia page to talk about the Ocean Gate submersible. They did just update Wikipedia. I'll show you. On 18
But it
June,
sounds like the
right
biggest
there.
problem with this submersible is that they
Corners
didn't
were
act-
cut. So
No,
potentially
it's not even
corners.
about that. They didn't get it certified.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they didn't get it
So-
certified.
I'm not even talking about, oh, it needs to be certified. It needs to be certified. It's like, okay, did you just run quality assurance testing to see how many submersions it could take before it imploded? I mean, structural stability is a pretty big deal. It sounded like they had successful.
Yeah, they had all the other
This
dives
wasn't
that were
the, well, this
successful.
wasn't the first dive, right? So
Right.
it seems like they cut corners on the one thing that you should probably know, and that is how many dives you can do with a singular hull. I don't understand.
I
how
still
you cut
find
that.
I still find it in the age of remote operated vehicles and the fact that you can't even see outside of it. I don't understand why we're still sending people down with it. To be
What do you
honest.
mean? You can see out it. There's a window in the
Yeah,
front.
but it's like this big.
So what? It's at the bottom of the ocean. It's about going there and seeing
It's
it.
the same size window as what's in an airplane.
Yeah.
Okay.
You still look out the airplane, like kind of excited when you see cool things.
I don't know. I'd rather I guess I'm in the small group that says just send a remote operated
Okay,
vehicle down there.
when you are coming into a new city on an airplane, are you not looking out the window to see the skyline and everything?
Well, yeah, but the only way for me to get there on a plane is on the plane. So I don't have to get
The
into a
only way-
submarine.
No, you could fly a drone and see through video what the
Mhm.
skyline looks like and everything. No different than going to see the Titanic. I just think it's dumb that they didn't figure out what their failure rate was.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing.
Apparently, everybody has decided on both sides of the Titanic aisle that no one should try to recover the wreck as a whole. Just for the record, that's in the article I was reading. All right,
I'm fine
so
with that.
let's move on to the next part of this, the last part of this. Let's rate the book and then see if there's
Okay.
any audience questions, which I don't think there are.
No.
Okay, well,
Okay,
you rate
I'm
it,
giving
Chris?
this one. I'm giving this one a because of the glaring plot holes. I'll give it a because they should have just pushed them overboard.
Chris is
I'll
like,
give it a
it's
I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3. They should have pushed the guy overboard. The story would have been over.
Mhm.
There would have been no question. Then they might not have even hit the iceberg if they had pushed him over.
No, they would have hit the iceberg. What are you talking
sure?
about?
Are you
Yeah.
sure?
No one.
They would have hit
Are
the
you-
royal ship.
Wait, how are you saying they wouldn't have hit the iceberg?
They might not have. I didn't say they wouldn't.
No,
I said they might not have hit the iceberg.
no, they couldn't have turned it.
Because they stuck him in the
physics were impossible to turn. He says that in the book
whatever you say.
when
They
he
should have
just.
strapped him to the mast or the front of the boat.
Down with the ship, bro.
Yeah.
No, okay. They literally said it would have been impossible to turn, even if they had seen the iceberg.
Okay, whatever.
It's stated in the book.
He shouldn't have helped. Never mind. He didn't want to screw over the little girl that he saved. But I was gonna say he should have just let the insurance.
No, but the
pay
insurance,
out.
but the insurance company was more than happy to see other boats sank, and
Yeah,
was
the
fully
insurance
aware
didn't
of-
deserve.
the insurance company didn't deserve to save their money either.
The best part of this whole story is that no one in this book was deserving of that money at all.
Exactly.
Nobody, except maybe the little girl.
Well, okay, in fairness, at least the shipping company got approval to operate that way, where they wouldn't lose any money.
That's true.
So,
And then the
I mean-
insurance tried to go back on that deal and said,
Yeah.
no.
I mean,
You can't do that.
I'll say this: the shipping company was maybe a little bit more justified to hold on to the money than the insurance company.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll say I'm.
So does that
actually-
mean the captain got off on that too?
No, the captain still had. Well, he might have got his. No, he was going to get arrested for the crimes he committed.
mean, the
Oh,
captain
yeah.
got off. That's what was
I was gonna say he technically
Everyone
he
kept
got off a
going in
lot. He got a lot of climaxes in this book.
It only
Okay,
cost him a lot of money.
give the rating, please.
I'm conflicted between a 1 and a 2. I might have to go with a 1.5.
You that bad?
Well, I feel like that love story portion is.
You
I
think it
didn't
ruins
really
the book for
enjoy
you?
it. I just didn't enjoy it.
Mhm.
I'll give it a 2 because I understand that there's a deeper meaning of don't throw your life away for some floozy who's going there saying mean shit to you and not even appreciate your efforts to save her child, which involved losing an arm to a friggin' polar bear. Okay, I'm sorry. I hate that lady so much as a character. And I don't understand how Roland ever was such a drunkard because of her.
Mhm.
But the feel good moment of the insurance company getting their due, I will give it, and then the overall redemption thing, I will give it a 2.
All right, Will. What's
Yep,
your rating?
I will also give it a 2. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I thought the love story was stupid. The fact that he can
The fact that there was an octopus at the end
The
ruined
fact
it
that the
for me.
octopus was in the end was very confusing. To be fair, I was like, what in the hell?
Okay, no, finish. 2. You said 2 because of what?
Yeah, all right. 2 because the love story was dumb. Also, the added addition of how they're getting back together in the end was dumb.
Well, no, he went to see the child. They don't say they get back together.
Yeah, no.
I'm over
It's
here.
assumed.
Hey,
Love of his life,
I'm-
turned his life around.
I'm
He's getting
over
back with
here
her.
hoping that he learned his lesson and realizes that she sucks.
All right,
And
well,
not-
Then he
No
shouldn't.
way.
Then he shouldn't go see the child.
Yes,
he also knifes a polar bear, which is just ridiculous.
right. That is very ridiculous.
But the historical, the fact that it's so interesting that it was written before the Titanic and there's a lot of similarities, it is kind of weird. So yeah, 2.
All right. And
Wait.
now for the last
Did you say
question.
a 3, Chris? You can't
Yeah,
remember.
Yeah,
I
he
give it
said a
a 3.
3.
Yeah. So the
Which-
average is 2 1/3.
I think he brought his rating down just a little bit because of how we shit on it earlier.
No, the plot holes. Once we started talking about the plot holes, I recognized some of the issues.
Okay, I just want to point out that prior to this episode and us discussing the plot holes, you were like, I really enjoyed that book.
I think you're mixing up what I said about the prince with this book.
No.
I have the
not.
receipts.
Let's not talk about it. All right. So just so you guys know, on Wednesday we're going to be discussing The Prince by Machiavelli,
Yes.
Niccolo Machiavelli, and we have some very interesting takes on that. Like, can you apply it to modern day war or whatever you want to call it that's going on, and mistakes that were made, we'll call it. Especially when it comes to mercenaries. All right, I'm not going to say more than that.
Yeah, Chris says, "LOL, I liked it."
Well, you have to say what I read.
A 3 is a
really
like. A
enjoyed
3
it.
is a neutral like. A 3 is a neutral like.
Oh,
I didn't say
okay.
2 is dislike. And then 1 is really disliked.
Interesting scale.
Can we give a 0? I guess we can give a 0.
I guess you could, technically. A 0 is like, I didn't read this book, it was that bad.
A 0 is the Twilight series.
Yes.
Hot garbage.
Didn't
on
you read
paper.
those, Will?
No, I read them. I read them so I could insult them.
I haven't read them. I watched that Vampires Suck movie, though, so I know kind of what happens.
That was better.
All right. Anything else you guys want to say about this?
Not about this, but definitely tune in next on Wednesday so that you can talk about the Prince with us.
Mhm.
Were there no comments at all on Rumble or YouTube?
No, but we had consistent viewership
Oh, okay. So
on Rumble. On YouTube, YouTube probably just said, nope, can't show this one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
and Will even timed his initial swear to be
I know.
after the timeline.
So good today.
66 views on Twitter.
Okay. Well, I guess that we can call it a night then.
All right. Well, as always, 81 now. As always, I'm Chris.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Will.
And we will see you all
Wednesday.
Bye, guys.
Make sure you guys subscribe on whatever platform you're watching. Bye.